After Hurricane Helene, FEMA's been under fire for allegedly being a no-show at the recovery sites. But according to Blaze News journalists Steve Baker and Joe Hanneman, that's not the full story. So here to dive in to what's really happening is Matthew Peterson, editor-in-chief of Blaze News, and our investigative journalist, Steve Baker, who's on the scene right now in North Carolina. So Steve, what have you seen on the ground? Let us in. What's going on there?
Well, let's just start with the fact that I've had a very emotional 3 days. I've actually been out with the recovery teams, and there's no other way to say it except we're working with cadaver dogs and looking for the remains of victims from the storm. Went to a new site today that was so toxic we all had to be wearing PPE. And then they graciously sent a chopper out, actually flew back to the Savage Freedom's base of operations here at the Harley-Davidson of Asheville just a half hour ago on an old Huey, an old Vietnam War era Huey, brought me back here so that I would be on time for Blaze News tonight. But as far as FEMA is concerned, before all of that fun started, I actually met with the director here on the ground of FEMA. I met with the director of their quote unquote FEMA camp, and I can talk a little bit more about that as we go on here. So I've had direct conversations with their top spokespeople, and I have toured a couple of their facilities already. They promised to give me tours of others, but there's an interesting thing about this. There is absolutely incontrovertible evidence that FEMA has a much larger footprint on the ground in the disaster zone here. They have 10 disaster relief centers already set up. They now have massive warehouses with just thousands of pallets of dry goods, of drinks, of water, all types of humanitarian aid and needs that are required to be delivered. And yet all of the people also on the ground working in these distant, remote communities never see them. I've been out on the ground in two of the worst hit areas in this state for the last 3 days. And I've seen a couple of Red Cross people. I've seen Samaritan's Purse. Obviously, the Savage guys are running those operations. No FEMA, zero, not one sign of them. So they have more goods, they have more services, they have more people. They have about 14 or 1,500 people on the ground here. As I said, they dwarf everyone else's operations. We just don't know where they're delivering everything. I'm not saying they're not, and it is a massive area. It's 28 counties just in North Carolina alone. So we just may be missing one another, but they're here. We're here. I'm embedded with the Savage Freedom Relief Project, and these guys are knocking it out of the park. As a matter of fact, Adam Smith was on with Trump today. Trump was here in Swannanoa, less than a mile from where I'm standing right now. And Adam Smith, the founder of Savage Freedoms, he was there, actually got to speak on stage with Trump today.
Well, Steve, can you tell us a little bit then about what you experienced today? And just a point of clarification, you're out with Savage Freedoms, not with any government entity, and you haven't seen government entities doing search and rescue or recovery. That's something that's being done by the private sector, right?
Look, I spoke to one of their senior spokespeople here today, and I won't identify him because he probably wouldn't appreciate it at this point. But I asked him, why are we not seeing the government agencies, federal agencies, state, local, county, whatever, out at these recovery sites? And he just shrugged and he said, I think that they're just tired of seeing the death. And out at the recovery site that I was at today, I went out there. This was just the recon day. Now, tomorrow it all starts. They're bringing excavation equipment out where they're going to slowly remove these piles and piles of the, I'm trying. Well, there we are. That's where I was today. And they're going to be removing those stacks of destruction and slowly removed them, looking for remains. They've already recovered 4 from this site. In fact, the owner of this property lost 2 of his family members, and 2 of his other family members are still missing. And this is a RV recreational park, and that's what happened while these people were there. And as I said, he's lost 4 of his family members, 2 dead, 2 missing. And this particular site is so toxic because these were RVs, so there's tremendous amount of chemical spill in there. There were septic tanks that have been exploded. The ground just came up, and so all of this, and so we had to get decontaminated when we got back. And so this is the type of things that these guys are going out and doing. And in the post recon day briefing, before I flew back to the site here, the project manager coordinator out there, he went through a list of things that are coming that we're going to be doing there. And he said, guys, it's just us left. The government's not coming to our aid. We have to do this. And he said, as most of you have already demonstrated, you came out to volunteer 2 or 3 days, and now you're staying for 10, 14, 21 days. And he said, the same thing is happening to me. I've been here for 8 days now. I don't know how much longer Blaze wants me here, but there's something new to reveal every single day.
Just to be clear, that was 4 bodies at this one location you were at were recovered or found today?
Not today, but this is why the team went out on a recon mission today to survey the site. I went and crawled through all of this massive piles of devastation around the river, down the river, in the river, across the river, walked miles and miles through all of this today. And this was just to identify where they're going to put in the search dogs and search teams tomorrow. And then they'll bring in the excavation equipment as well, then to start lifting this debris out and start looking for remains there. But the actual owner of the RV recreational park, he lost 4 family members. 2 have been recovered and 2 are still missing. They may be there. They may be in Tennessee down the river.
Right. Now the way that you're describing it, right, we've moved on from the initial phase, however you want to say that, to now this is real life. Everything is actually settling in. So how are the people holding up there right now, Steve?
Some of the people now are having to take breaks. I've been here long enough with them. I kind of feel like I'm part of the Savage Freedoms operation team right now. And I'm looking at a tent right here where one of the guys is staying, and he's been one of the most active guys here. He's one of the leaders. He's a troubleshooter. He's the guy. He's the go-to guy for getting problems solved. And he had to take a 2 or 3 day break. All of a sudden I missed him. I didn't see him. He just got back. He set his tent back up here, just right here to my left right now. And he's staying on the ground, just getting down into the 30s now. It's freezing, getting below freezing now at night here in the mountains. And so, but these guys are unbelievably committed to what they're doing here. If I was to turn my camera around, you'd see a whole row of tents around the tree line here. These guys are coming in, they're staying, they're not going, they're volunteering their time. We've heard about the greatest generation. I don't know that we're not, but these men and women here, right here, they are the greatest of our generation.
That's absolutely true. And Steve, I want to say with the time that we have left right now, is there anything that they are still needing? What are the requests there on the ground right now?
Yeah, actually, while I was out on the recovery site today, I was getting texts from JP Decker from Mercury One asking what they needed, and I was able to actually relay some items that they do need. Obviously, we still need the cold weather gear. Anything cold weather related, they need generators. They actually need power banks with the solar power. They need those for the elderly, people that find it much more difficult to maintain a gasoline or diesel powered generator and refuel it, to keep their CPAPs going, to keep their other, their oxygen, all the other needs that the elderly need that still don't have power and won't have power for weeks, some places months before the crews are able to get there. And so those people need that kind of equipment. And then I would say at this point, contact Mercury One, get everything that you have in the way of cold weather gear, clothing, anything that would assist in that manner. And for those who do have the gasoline generators, they're also requesting the need for carbon monoxide detectors, because some of these people they're not going to know how to use them properly, and we don't want to create a disaster after a disaster.
Absolutely. It's mercury1.org if you want to go ahead and check that out and help the people. Steve, thanks so much for everything that you've been doing there in North Carolina.